Thank you for joining us. The mock trial will start soon.
See here.
Thank you for joining us. The mock trial will start soon. Thank you for joining us. The mock trial will start soon. Thank you for joining us. The mock trial will start soon. Thank you for joining us. The mock trial will start soon. Thank you for joining us. The mock trial will start soon. Thank you for joining us. The mock trial will start soon. Thank you for joining us. The mock trial will start soon. Thank you for
Welcome to this celebration of Constitution Day. Every year on September 17th, we recognize the signing of the United States Constitution in 1787. I am Marla Lugert, the Chief Justice of the Kansas Supreme Court. I stand in the courtroom where I work as a representative of the judicial branch, one of the three branches of government. My court and courts in your community, across your state, and across the country work to make sure people follow the laws. Today, you will participate in a role guaranteed by the United States Constitution, the right to a trial by jury. As you do so, you will help protect the principles that courts treat everyone fairly and decisions are made impartially by applying the law. Enjoy your time today and take up the call to act fairly and treat everyone with respect.
Good morning. I guess it's that time, isn't it? Hello, my name is Rob Winnell. I'm a district court judge for the state of Kansas. So just going over some final preparations here for a big trial that I've got this morning. But it's really good to see you and welcome to Constitution Day 2025. When I say it's really good to see you, I literally mean it's good to see you. Let me explain a little bit more. You see, I have an office here in Johnson County, Kansas, and I'm on the 6th floor. And I have a pretty good sized window that lets me see out west. So when I say it's good to see you, I mean it's really good to see you. From Forest View Elementary School, where this Constitution Day program started 11 years ago, to Upper Blue Elementary School in Breckenridge, Colorado. Beyond that, I see, there we go, Rocky Mountain Elementary School in Wyoming. And if I look really far, I can see Pyle Elementary School in Fresno, California. If I look to the north, I can see Maple Valley Elementary School in North Dakota. And if I look to the south, I can see Magdalena Elementary School in New Mexico, Coolidge Elementary School in Enid, Oklahoma, and Purcell Elementary School in Abilene, Texas. If I had a window in the other side of my office, I could see out to the east, and I could see the Allentown School District in Pennsylvania. I could see the Marshall Elementary School in Delaware, Central Park Elementary in Florida, and even Oxford Elementary School in Maine. Now, I can't really see all of those schools, but I just wanted you all to know that you are joining over 17,000 other third graders this morning for our nationwide Constitution Day event. And welcome. So, it's Constitution Day. What are we going to talk about? Well, you probably guessed it. We're going to talk about the Constitution. The Constitution was signed on this day, September 17th, 1787. George Washington presided over representatives from the then existing states that came together to talk about forming this document. Now, they didn't agree on everything, but through a process of collaboration and civil discourse, they came to the agreement on the Constitution of the United States, one of the most important documents in the history of the world. The Constitution was signed by individuals as young as 26 and as old as 81. That was Benjamin Franklin. So, what's in the Constitution? Well, if you read the Constitution, you'll see that it starts with what we call the preamble. And the preamble says this: "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty, to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." That's how our Constitution starts, with the preamble. If you keep reading, you'll move into the Articles section, and in that section, you'll see the foundation for the very form of government that we use today. Our government has 3 branches. Can you repeat after me? The executive, legislative, and judicial branches. I was getting ready to talk to you about the 3 branches, but I was kind of worried maybe you'd get a little tired of just hearing me today. So we've invited some very special guests to join us today. The highest ranking member of the executive branch at the state level is the governor. And we have today joining us the governor of Delaware. Governor Meyer, thank you so much for joining us for Constitution Day, and the floor is yours.
Hello, students. My name is Matt Meyer, and I'm the governor of Delaware. Happy Constitution Day. Here's a fun fact for you. Delaware was the very first state to ratify, to agree to the Constitution. We did this on December 7th, 1787. No, I wasn't there. I'm not that old. But that's why people call Delaware the first state. Now let's talk about my job as governor. I work in something called the executive branch. Every state in America has an executive branch, and the leader is called the governor. That's me. The executive branch enforces the law and manages the everyday tasks of government. We work with the other two branches of government, the legislative branch, which writes the laws, and the judicial branch, judges, which interpret the laws. This is called checks and balances. Here's an example. If a lawmaker writes a law called a bill about building new houses, then that bill comes to my desk and I read it. If I think it's good for the people of Delaware, I sign it. If I don't think it's good, I can say no, and that's called a veto. Once a bill becomes a law, my office helps ensure people will follow it. Finally, if someone doesn't like the law, they can work with the legislative and the judicial branches to change it or stop it. The executive branch also has many other important roles: managing schools, investing in hospitals, working with farms and small businesses. And when big things happen, big problems like a storm or a sickness, the executive branch keeps people safe. So as you learn about the Constitution, remember this: the executive branches at the local, state, and federal levels are meant to help you make your life and your family's life better every day. And don't forget this: who picks me? The people do. This land is truly your land. Thank you for having me. Let me know when you stop by Delaware, the first state, and enjoy your mock trial.
Thank you, Governor Meyer, for that explanation of the executive branch. All right, now we're going to move on to the legislative branch. And joining us today is United States Senator Jerry Moran. Senator Moran not only serves in the United States Senate, but before that, he served in the House of Representatives. Senator Moran is an expert on all things from the legislative branch, and he's joining us today for Constitution Day. Senator Moran, thank you so much for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Hello, I'm Jerry Moran. I represent Kansas in the United States Senate, and today is Constitution Day, and I'm grateful for the chance to speak to you all about one of our country's most significant documents, the United States Constitution. It was written by our founding fathers. The Constitution is the foundational document. It's what began our country, and it establishes our government and the three unique branches of government. Although this document was written more than 200 years ago, we still rely on it today to guide how our government works. The Constitution lays out my responsibilities as a member of the United States Senate. The U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives make up one of the three branches of government. This one's called the legislature. This branch of government writes our laws and determines how the funds collected through taxes are spent to benefit our nation. Every state is represented by 2 senators, and as one of those senators representing Kansas, it's my job to make laws and decisions that are the best way to serve our state and the whole country. In order to do this, I regularly meet with Kansans from across our state to understand the issues and the challenges they're facing. I learned this by conversations with my constituents. Another responsibility given to the legislature by the Constitution is to act as a check and balance on the executive branch and the judicial branch. Those are the other 2 branches of government. This Constitution, our Constitution, gives the Senate the responsibility to consider and confirm the President's nominations for positions in the executive branch of government. We also can confirm or deny confirmation to the judges and justices that work in the judicial branch of government. This Constitution is a special document that's created our republic and protects our freedoms and our liberties that we hold so dear in the United States of America. I'm grateful to those founding fathers, the people who started our country, the men and women throughout history who protected our Constitution as well. I hope each of you will follow their footsteps and always choose to honor and defend our Constitution, a special document that has such an important impact for every American.
Thank you, Senator Moran, for that description of the legislative branch. All right, we've got one more branch to go. And the highest ranking member of the judicial branch at the federal level is our United States Supreme Court. Our United States Supreme Court has 9 justices, and we have as a special guest this morning, Justice Neil Gorsuch. United States Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch, thank you so much for coming today to talk to our 3rd graders about the judicial branch. And Justice Gorsuch, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Neil Gorsuch, and I'm one of the 9 justices who sits on the Supreme Court of the United States in Washington, D.C. I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about one of the most important documents in our nation's history, the Constitution. When the Constitution was signed over 200 years ago, this very day, September 17th, it included instructions for all 3 branches of our federal government. The judicial branch, that's the one I work in, was outlined in Article 3. It has many different courts within the judicial branch at many different levels, all over the country, including in your state. Sometimes after a case is decided at the local level, there's a disagreement about whether the court applied the law correctly, and the people involved might ask for an appeal. That just means asking someone else if the decision was right. So say, for example, you're playing kickball, and a friend is the umpire, and he calls another friend of yours out on a close play. You might ask a teacher standing nearby who was watching whether that call was right. It's much the same thing. Each year, our court, the Supreme Court, receives about 7,000 requests to review cases from all over the country because people have a disagreement about what the law is. You see, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And the Supreme Court has a responsibility of interpreting and applying it in the cases that come before us. The Constitution is a document we all live by, and the Supreme Court provides the guidance necessary for our American government to work within that framework set by the Constitution. It's my understanding that you have a full day ahead of you learning about the other branches of our government before you get to the fun part, the mock trial. So I'll sign off for now, but before I do, I want to thank Judge Winnell and everyone involved in making today's events possible, and to wish each and every one of you a very happy Constitution Day.
Thank you, Justice Gorsuch. Wow, the governor of Delaware, a United States Senator from Kansas, and a Supreme Court Justice help us to understand the 3 branches of government. And that framework of government is found in the articles section we were talking about in the Constitution. And that was put in place back in 1787. Now, if you keep reading through the Constitution, then you come to the amendments. There's 27 amendments. The first 10 are called the Bill of Rights. And in those amendments, you'll see things that you've probably heard before, like the right to vote, freedom of speech, and the right to a jury trial under the 6th Amendment. And that's what you're going to see today. You're going to see our Constitution in real time through a 6th Amendment jury trial. Our defendant deserves a fair trial under the Constitution. That's a right that she has. But it doesn't end there. That's where you become involved. You see, the only way a defendant can exercise their constitutional right to a trial is to have a trial of their peers. And that's you. That's a responsibility that we have under the Constitution, and you get to do that today at our mock trial. Well, I think we're about ready to start the mock trial, so I need to get ready. And to do that, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take off my suit jacket. I'm going to set it here on my desk, and I'm going to get my robe, put it on to start the trial. I have to tell you, taking off my suit jacket and getting my robe by this closet makes me feel a little bit like Mr. Rogers. And I just realized that none of you are going to get that joke. That's okay. You can ask your parents. And actually, as long as I've been doing Constitution Day, you might have to ask your grandparents. But all jokes aside, the next time you see me, I'm going to have my real serious judge face on. But I hope you're going to put your real serious jury face on, because this is pretty important stuff. To get us ready for the trial is our bailiff today, Sheriff Tony Manu from Bannock County, Idaho. Sheriff Manu, thanks so much for joining us today. And can you help our 3rd graders get ready for our mock trial?
Good morning, kids. It's great to see you today. I am Sheriff Manu from Bannock County, Idaho. You just heard about the 3 branches of government, and my office is part of the executive branch. One of the many services the Sheriff's Office performs for the community is courthouse security. Sometimes one of those roles is to serve as a bailiff in court. The judge He's getting his robe on and getting ready to come into the courtroom. When he comes in, I will say, all rise, and then I will say, oh yes, which is a word that calls for silence and attention in a hearing. As soon as the judge says, you may be seated, then you can sit down. The reason we say all rise is not personally for the judge, but to show respect for the courtroom, the justice system, and our Constitution. All right, let's get ready. I think the judge is about to enter the courtroom. All rise. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. The
Thank
Honorable
you,
Judge
everyone. You may be seated.
is now in session.
The 10th Judicial District in the state of Kansas Court is now in session. Court will call the case State v. Johnson, OPS 233. Attorneys, would you please state your appearance for the record, beginning with prosecution?
May it please the court, District Attorney Mark Dupree appears for the state of Kansas.
Thank you, Mr. Dupree. Defense counsel, would you please state your appearance and introduce your client to our jury?
May it please the court, the defendant appears in person and by and through counsel, Catherine Triplett. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Elena Johnson.
To the members of our jury, thank you for exercising your constitutional responsibility to serve in this trial today. The state has alleged that Elena Johnson has violated State Statute 25, U.S. Code 1787. The law states that it is illegal to run in the hallways of any elementary school in the state of Kansas between the hours of 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. The law also states that it shall be a defense to this charge if the accused is attempting to help someone in an emergency situation. You will hear the evidence, you will consider the evidence, and you will decide whether or not the defendant is guilty or not guilty of this charge. The prosecution alleges that this act took place on August 27th, 2025. The defendant pleads not guilty. Counsel for the state, Mr. Dupree, you may make your opening statement at this time.
Thank you, Judge. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, counsel, August 27th, 2025. There was a law that was broken. And today you're going to hear evidence. And that evidence from a teacher, from a former principal, you're even going to hear from a nurse, that this law was broken. And what is this law? This law is one that I'm sure all of you know about, because all of you attend school in the state of Kansas, and Miss Elena Johnson, who is a fourth grader, not a first grader, not a second grader, not a third grader, a fourth grader. She has attended Kansas elementary schools her entire life. She is an upperclassman, and she knew for all of her years in school that running in the hallways from 7 to 4 is against the law. And yes, she's nice, and yes, she's kind, and maybe she makes good grades, but today I need you to hold her accountable. We may not like the law and we may not agree with it, but she violated it. And by the end of this trial, I'm going to ask you to do what the state of Kansas Constitution and the statute says, which is hold her accountable and find her guilty.
Thank you, Mr. Dupree. Ms. Triplett, you may now make your opening statement on behalf of your client.
Thank you. Judge, counsel, members of the jury. Yes, someone was running in the hallways on August 27th, 2025. But that someone was not my client, Elena Johnson. It is the state's burden. It is their job to prove that she is guilty. The evidence today will show that 4 witnesses will testify, and not one of them will identify Ms. Johnson as the individual running in the hallways on August 27th of 2025. So yes, hold someone accountable. Hold the state accountable to their job, to their burden of proof. And at the end of evidence, find my client, Ms. Johnson, not guilty.
Thank you, Ms. Triplett. We will now begin with the state's case in chief. Mr. Dupree, you may call your first witness.
Thank you, Judge. State of Kansas calls Dr. Randy Watson.
Dr. Watson, if you could please come up to our court reporter and be sworn in before you testify.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Come around and have a seat, please.
Mr. Dupree, when Dr. Watson is seated and ready, you may begin your direct examination.
Thank you, Judge. Please state your name for the record.
Dr. Randy Watson.
Dr. Watson, are you currently employed?
Yes, I'm a teacher at the local elementary school.
Is Elena Johnson one of the students in your class?
Yes,
Were you teaching the class on the afternoon of August 27, 2025?
yes, I remember that day well.
And why would you remember that day well?
Well, there was a lot of excitement in the classroom and across the school. Everyone was getting ready for the big after-school movie event that day.
Was Miss Elena Johnson one of those excited kiddos?
Objection calls for speculation as to what my client was feeling.
I'll sustain that objection. Mr. Dupree, you can move on to your next question.
Thank you, Judge. Do you remember anything specifically about Miss Johnson's actions on that day?
Yes, she's a good student, but on that day, she missed one of her daily assignments. So when the bell rang, I just asked her to stay after a little bit to complete that assignment before she joined the others at the movie event.
And what time does school end?
3:20,
And what time did the movie event start?
3:45.
You will now see what's been marked as Exhibit A on your screen. Is this a true and accurate depiction of the movie flyer?
Yes, it is.
Well, Judge, I move to admit Exhibit A.
No objection.
Exhibit A is admitted into evidence.
So she would have left your classroom in a hurry, correct?
Yes, she actually ran toward the door, and I had to remind her that she can't run in the school building.
Thank you. No further questions, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Dupree. Ms. Triplett, you may begin your cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, you said my client was a good student, is that correct?
Yes,
And did she actually finish her homework assignment?
yes, she did.
And this could have taken more than 15 minutes, is that correct?
Yes, she was working on it for approximately 15 minutes.
And do you happen to remember what she was wearing that day?
I'm not really sure. Maybe a soccer or baseball jersey, but I don't remember.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Triplett. To the members of our jury, we will now take a brief 2-minute recess for you to consider the testimony you've now heard from this first witness. Your recess begins now. Members of our jury, we will now resume the trial. Mr. Dupree, on behalf of the state, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Judge. The state calls Dr. Mark Heck.
Dr. Heck, if you could please come up to our court reporter and be sworn in before you give your testimony.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Come around and have a seat, please.
Mr. Dupree, once Dr. Heck is seated and ready, you may begin your direct examination.
Thank you, Judge. Could you please state your name for the record?
Dr. Mark Heck.
And were you formerly principal at the elementary school?
Yes, for 22 years.
Were you there when the defendant, Miss Elena Johnson, was a student?
Yes, but it was when she was younger. I'm not her principal this year.
Were you in the elementary school building on the date in question, which is August 27th, 2025?
I was. The current principal had asked me back there for a meeting, so I arrived after school. I knew some of the teachers, so I went down in the hallway to visit with them because my meeting didn't start until 4:15.
Dr. Heck, I want to ask you a very important question. Did you see anything unusual on that day?
Well, I wouldn't say it was unusual, but I do remember seeing a student running in the halls.
And to your knowledge, what was that student wearing?
I do remember that. It was a Kansas City Chiefs t-shirt.
Did she have the same hair color as Miss Johnson?
Yes.
What happened next after you seen this Chief shirt and the hair that looks like Miss Johnson running down the hall?
Well, I asked the school nurse who was sitting next to me what was going on, and she said that—
Objection, hearsay.
Well, counsel, it's my understanding that the school nurse is available and will be testifying at this trial. So I'm going to overrule the objection, and Dr. Heck, you can continue with your answer.
The nurse said that it was a big back-to-school movie event going on. Everyone was excited. The movie had started, and the student we saw running in front of us was late to the start of the movie.
Dr. Heck, have you ever seen Miss Elena Johnson running in the hallway?
Yes, I have, but again, it was a few years ago when she was younger.
But you have seen her running in the hallway?
I have, yes, yes.
Thank you, Dr. Heck. Judge, no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Dupree. Ms. Triplett, at this time, you may now cross-examine the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, on August 27th of 2025, on this day, did you see Miss Elena Johnson running in the hallways?
I did not see the student's face, so I don't know for sure, but I do know she likes the Kansas City Chiefs.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Triplett. Mr. Dupree, on behalf of the state, do you have any additional witnesses to call at this time?
No further witnesses on behalf of the state, and Judge, the state rests.
To the members of our jury, the state has now rested their case in chief. We will take a short 2-minute break for you to consider the testimony of this second witness that you've now heard. Your 2 minutes starts now. Our 2-minute break is now over. As the members of our jury heard before the break, state has now rested their case. Ms. Triplett, on behalf of your client, you may begin your case in chief, and you may call your first witness now.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense calls Michael Flinthrope.
Ms. Triplett, it's my understanding that Mr. Flinthrope has requested an interpreter so that he may testify in his primary language.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Vallejo, if you would please come up and interpret.
Raise your right hand, please.
Por favor, levante la mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm
¿Juras o afirmas
that the testimony you're about to give
que el testimonio que vas a decir
will be the truth, the whole truth,
es la verdad, toda la verdad
and nothing but the truth?
y nada más que la verdad? Yes.
Come around and have a seat, please.
Por favor, de la vuelta y te sientas.
Ms. Triplett, once Mr. Flinthrope is seated and ready, you may begin your direct examination.
Thank you. Good morning.
Buenos días.
Please state your name for the record.
Por favor, indique su nombre para el archivo.
Michael Flinthrope.
Michael Flinthrope.
And are you a parent volunteer at the elementary school?
¿Eres voluntario en la escuela primaria?
Sí lo soy.
Yes, I'm a member.
And were you at the back to school movie night on August 27th of 2025?
¿Estuviste en el evento de película de regreso a clase el 27 de agosto del 2025?
Sí.
Yes.
And were you in the library with Miss Elena Johnson?
¿Estabas en la biblioteca con Elena Johnson?
Sí estuve, pero Elena como vino poquito después de que la película había comenzado.
Yes, she came in shortly after the movie had started.
And how do you remember that?
¿Cómo pudiste recordar eso?
Bueno, no recuerdo el nombre de la película, pero recuerdo que como al principio de la película uno de los personajes gritó, oye, pare, ahí mismo.
I don't remember the name of the movie, but I remember at the beginning one of the characters yelled, "Hey, stop right there."
Y el volumen era bien fuerte y como si de verdad alguien necesitara ayuda y Elena vino junto después.
I remember thinking that it was so loud, it sounded like someone really needed help, and Elena came right after that.
And this was sometime after 3:45?
¿Y esto fue después de las 3:45?
Bueno, posiblemente después de las 4.
Yes, maybe shortly after 4.
Thank you. No further questions.
Gracias, no tengo más preguntas.
Thank you, Ms. Triplett. Mr. Dupree, on behalf of the state, you may cross-examine.
Thank you, Judge. Did the movie start at 3:45?
¿Empezó la película a las 3:45?
Bueno, supuestamente iba a empezar a tal hora, pero en realidad empezó un poquito después por unos problemas que tuvimos con el proyector.
It was supposed to, but we actually started a few minutes late due to some projector issues.
When Miss Elena Johnson came into the library, what was she wearing?
Y cuando Elena Johnson entró a la biblioteca, ¿qué tenía puesto?
No estoy seguro, quizás una camiseta deportiva.
Not sure. Maybe a sports jersey.
Thank you. No further questions, Judge.
Gracias. No tengo más preguntas, Su Señoría.
Thank you, Mr. Dupree. Ms. Vallejo, thank you for interpreting today. To the members of our jury, we will now take another 2-minute break for you to consider the testimony that you've just heard. Your 2 minutes starts now. To the members of our jury, court is now back in session. Ms. Triplett, you may call your next witness on behalf of the defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense calls Nurse Julie Fishburne.
Ms. Fishburne, if you could please come up to our court reporter to be sworn in for your testimony.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Come on and have a seat, please.
Ms. Triplett, when Ms. Fishburne is seated and ready, you may begin your direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please state your name for the record.
Julie Fishburne.
And what is your job?
I'm the school nurse at the elementary school.
And did you see my client, Elena Johnson, in your office on August 27th of 2025?
Yes.
And what for?
She came in after morning recess. She hurt her knee really bad. Gave her some ice, told her to rest and stay off her feet and no running. She was hurt pretty bad.
And was she moving slowly?
Yes, very slowly.
No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Triplett. Mr. Dupree, you may cross-examine.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Fishburne, did you see the defendant, Elena Johnson, in the office the rest of the day?
No.
Did you think the injury was so severe that maybe she should be sent home?
It wasn't that serious.
And third graders that are running and jumping and moving, don't they heal quickly?
Yes, especially if they're motivated.
Do you remember talking to Dr. Heck?
Yes, I do.
He said you saw a student running in the halls. Was that student Miss Elena Johnson?
He saw the student running in the hall. When I turned around, the door was shutting, so I don't know who it was.
Thank you. No further questions, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Dupree. Ms. Triplett, on behalf of the defense, do you have any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor. The defense rests.
To the members of our jury, the defense has now rested their case. The facts and the evidence are now finally submitted. Before you begin your deliberations, I will allow each side to make a closing argument. Mr. Dupree, on behalf of the state, you may make your closing argument now.
Thank you, Judge. Please, the court, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, counsel, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. As we talk all across this country, the number one thing that we all have pledged to is to abide by the laws of this country. Whether you're in this state or any other, you have agreed by pledging to the United States flag that you will hold people accountable. And today you have exceeded, you have examined what the evidence is. And what is that? From teachers, they saw Miss Elena Johnson. Because in the state of Kansas, there is no mistake that when you wear a Kansas City Chiefs jersey that you stick out. Because we love our Patrick Mahomes, just like Miss Johnson. And on that day, she wore her Chiefs jersey, and guess what? Though we love him, Patrick Mahomes got her call. And she was running, and look, folks, I'm not saying that she's a bad person. I'm not saying that, but you have an old principal who saw her way many years ago when she was younger, but you know what? She runs just the same. Years has passed, she's still the runner. And today, after hearing all the evidence, and the nurse made it very clear, yeah, maybe she was hurt, but she wasn't hurt that bad. She moves quick. Folks, I'm asking you to do what your country has asked you to do. What you swore to do as a jury, and that's hold her accountable to her mistake. It was simple, but she made a mistake and she ran. Even if she was limping, she was running with her Kansas City Chiefs jersey on. I'm asking you to find her guilty.
Thank you, Mr. Dupree. Ms. Triplett, on behalf of the defense, you may make your closing argument now.
Thank you. Judge, counsel, members of the jury, not guilty. That is the only verdict that the evidence in this case supports. You've heard from 4 witnesses. Not one of them was able to identify Miss Elena Johnson as the individual that was running in the hallways on August 27th of 2025. In fact, nobody identified that Miss Johnson on that day was wearing a Chiefs jersey. Dr. Heck did testify that he saw someone in the hallway wearing a Chiefs jersey running. However, Dr. Watson testified that he saw her that day, and what he remembers is that she was wearing a soccer or a baseball jersey, not a Chiefs jersey. The nurse saw her earlier that day, and she was moving slowly as a result of a knee injury. Ladies and gentlemen, the only mistake made here is that of a mistaken identity. The only verdict that this evidence supports is that of not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Triplett. To the members of our jury, the time has now come to begin deliberations. When this event began, we talked about the constitutional right to a jury trial. We talked about your responsibility to decide this case fairly. I'm about to begin the deliberations, and you will have 5 minutes as a jury to discuss the evidence that you have seen. At the end of those 5 minutes, you will render a verdict of guilty or not guilty. This is an extremely important task that I give you now to the members of our jury. Your deliberations begin now.
You have 1 minute remaining in jury deliberation. Submit your verdict when prompted.
Members of our jury, the bailiff has handed me your verdict. Before I read that verdict, I want to thank you. I want to thank you on behalf of the people. I want to thank you on behalf of the court. I want to thank you for exercising your responsibility under the Constitution of the United States and being a fair and impartial juror. You participated today in a real-time experience from our Constitution. And for that, happy Constitution Day. But the verdict has been given to me. At this time, Ms. Triplett, if you could please stand with your client as I announce the jury's verdict. In the matter of State v. Johnson, OSD 1234, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. This court is now adjourned. But before you head out, I want to let you know that I have received a lot of questions that you wanted us to ask before we sign off for the day. So thank you for submitting all these questions. And I'll tell you, if you submitted a question and I don't get to it, it's because I have a lot of questions here, but I'm going to answer just a couple. I have a question from Brentwood Elementary School, and the question is this: who's the most important person in the courtroom? And I will tell you, every person in the courtroom that you saw, everyone that played a role in this trial was as equally important. Different roles, but as equally important. But the answer to your question of who's the most important person in the courtroom, it's you. It's the members of the jury. It's the public. That's the most important person in the courtroom. We have some other questions here. I have a question here from Edgerton Elementary, and the question is, Judge Winnell, how old are you? And I will tell you that you know, I may not look it, but that's actually my age. So that was a good question. We have another question here from Oswego, and the question is this: how do you become a judge? Well, I can answer that. First of all, eat all your vegetables, listen to your teachers and your parents, and study really hard. But ultimately, love justice, and be ready to be fair to all people. And if you can do that, I'm convinced that you would make a great judge, or any other person in the courtroom. You, sitting in your classroom right now, can become that someday. So thanks for joining us for Constitution Day 2025, and we're adjourned.